Peace to everybody listening on the check-in on this late night. It's midnight, 12 a.m., not p.m. It's 12 a.m. I'm here live doing a live stream, testing it out, so bear with me. I'm doing it because I'm reacting to the Knicks win in the semi-conference finals, semi. They just beat the Boston Celtics, the reigning champions from last year. Just beat them in 6 games. No Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown fouled out, but it is what it is. You take your wins when you get them. And the Knicks win. They won. They closed the series out tonight, Friday night at the Garden. It's the first time closing out a series at home since '99, and first time headed to the Eastern Conference Finals since 2000. 25 years. Um, a lot to get into. A lot to get into. It's been a weird week for New York. Tonight was a Subway Series Game One between Yankees and my Mets, and Yankees won. Salute to the Yankees. Much respect. I don't know what happened. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know what happened with the Mets. I gotta go back and check it out later. But we're not here for baseball right now. Also, we'll get into it a little bit. On the rap side of things, Joey Badass definitely let his New York presence be felt in the ongoing back and forth that had with a few West Coast artists, whether it's Ray Vaughn, Reason now, and a few others. But first, let's get to the next game. So, you know what? Before we get to the next game, let me just go over the actual predictions that were for this series before it started. So before the Boston Celtics and Knicks series started, let's go look at some of the journalists and their predictions before the series started. Tim McMahon, good journalist. Celtics in 6. Kevin Pelton, I like Kevin Pelton. Celtics in 5. Ramona Shelburne, Celtics in 6. Jorge, David Meneman, so many others. I think Charles Barkley, Stephen A. Smith. So many people had the Celtics winning 5, 6, gentleman sweep. I didn't even hear a lot of game sevens, a lot of seven games. People thought that the Knicks were going to get bounced out in 5, 6 games, but here we are. They're going to the conference finals, which, in my opinion, to borrow the whole Kobe Bryant adage, job's not finished. It's just the conference finals. It ain't like you go to the finals. You know what I'm saying? You have to win 8 more games to be a champion. Well, of course, right now downtown on 7th Avenue, people going crazy. People wilding out in the streets. I think NYPD's been getting called down there to clear out 7th Avenue from what I saw. 'Cause you know how they do. But what I would say is job's not finished. I'm not one of those Knicks fans who goes crazy because they win the game. In fact, to be honest with you, to share some with y'all, I more often than not, I don't really watch Knicks games initially. Like I have a thing about me where one, I feel like I am Jinx. I'm like Mush from Bronx Tale. I feel like I'm bad luck. So I don't really watch games like that live anymore because I feel like when I watch games live, I screw it up for them, and I cause more mishaps than triumphs, and I have like history to prove that. So like a lot of times when I watch games, and I do watch every game, I'm a fan since a kid. But when I do watch games, I watch them usually like towards the end of the fourth quarter, third quarter maybe, and I watch it strictly for like analytical purposes to like really evaluate gameplay, what's going on, the X's and O's of it all. But my heart can't take it to just watch it strictly as a fan, where I'm just like in the moment, with that what's the word I want to use? With the suspense. I can't take the suspense no more. I stopped like in the mid 2000s. Once TiVo and DVR came in, I was like, oh, I can watch the game later and on my own time and zip through commercials. Because that's another thing. I am notoriously anti-advertisement, anti-commercial. So that's another reason why I don't really watch games live because I just can't stand commercials. With that being said, yeah, I didn't watch this game live. Instead, I took my daughter out for biking. My daughter learned how to ride a bike about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And ever since then, she's been hyped to ride a bike. And I definitely feel like it's important to encourage your kids, especially daughters, to learn how to ride a bike because riding a bike can be liberating, can be it can teach you survival skills. It can teach you how to think fast on the road, teach you how to problem solve, teach you how to be self-reliant. Or what's more amazing than seeing a kid, with his bike turned upside down, his or her bike turned upside down, and the little mechanics fixing their tires, fixing their chains. It builds character. It builds problem solving skills, and it builds a sense of ownership. You know, that's my bike. I remember when I got my first bike when I was like 10, 11 years old, and my dad told me how to ride, and it taught me just how to appreciate things, how to appreciate property. Pardon me, my tattoos, coat of arms. Shout out to all my Haitians, all my souls. And then I got a red ribbon here. Well, it's supposed to be red, but it faded out from my grandmother. Passed away of AIDS. In case y'all wondering, screw AIDS. But yeah, I think, having a bike and learning how to ride your bike, it just teaches you certain skills as far as psychological, as far as mechanical skills. So with that being said, now that my daughter, my middle daughter, she learned how to ride, I've been trying to bike with her any chance I get, but it's been a rainy last 2 weeks, so we haven't had a lot of chances. So tonight, while the Knicks were playing at the Garden, instead of sitting down on my couch and stewing over this game and being nervous, I said, "Screw it." There was a bike club in the neighborhood. It's Friday night thing. It's ran, and I took my daughter to it. We rode our bikes together with other members of the community. We rode our bikes around, hung out, and that gave me joy. I'm very proud of my daughter to learn how to ride it. In fact, last week when me and her rode our bikes, I was wiping tears of joy while riding with her because I was just so amazed that she has finally got it. And when I say finally got it, I say that because for the last 2 summers, I'm really going on a tangent about this bike riding thing. So it should be a sports episode, but indulge me. The last 2 summers, I would say, I've been trying to teach her how to ride, and it just hasn't been clicking. And I want to say it has been clicking a large part of it because of me. I can say that maybe my temperament and my need for her to just get it and to understand how to pedal, how to keep your balance, etc. Maybe I was a little too harsh, too rough, too assertive, too aggressive, not even assertive, aggressive. And maybe my style of teaching wasn't clicking for her. So she had a rough time with me. But let me tell you, shout out to women. Shout out to women. And dare I say, I believe women are better teachers than men. We caught wind of a girls' bike club in the neighborhood about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. So when we went for the first time, a lady in the community, shout out to Miss Una Spivey, she took my daughter on a little grassy knoll, like a little hill, and within 15 minutes, she had my daughter just floating on the concrete with her bike. She just got it like that. And however she communicated the advice to learn how to ride, it was way more instantaneous than what I could give her. And I thank you for that. With that being said, I felt way more enjoyable tonight being out and about with my daughter riding on my bike instead of just staying at home on the couch stewing over the game. But when I got home it was the third quarter, and I'm so superstitious. When I got home, I didn't want to know the score. I didn't want to know the score. I just said to myself, all right, let me take a shower. Let me clean up around. And by the time I'm done, the game will be over and I'll just watch it one way or another, no matter who won. Because I was disappointed in game 5. I was disappointed in game 5. Game 3, when they got blown out at MSG, I wasn't shocked. I knew the Celtics would come out swinging, you know? So game 3, I wasn't surprised by that loss. But game 5, I was like, come on, man, close them out. Yeah, it's Boston, but close them out. Like, one, Tatum's not there. Sidebar. Speaking of Tatum, I have an unpopular opinion, and I pray that you guys understand me in my unpopular opinion. And it's not just in reference to this series, but in general with athlete injuries. First of all, it sucks that Tatum got hurt. Sucks for him more than anything. But my unpopular opinion is that I can't stand when there's a whole big show, song and dance, where people have to like light candles and go to a priest just because a person got a season-ending injury or a ruptured Achilles or something that's terrible. Because it is terrible, of course. But people act like Tatum died or another player died or anybody, not just Tatum. When it happens to any player and it's that serious, it sucks from a competitive standpoint. But people will act like it's like the end of the world. Like it's just somebody passed away. It's like, yo, relax. He gonna be all right. He gonna get his money. You know what I'm saying? He gonna get his money. He'll be okay. Oh, and I'm not trying to be heartless. I have empathy, of course. It sucks, but yo, $300 million man, he'll be all right. LMA by his side, he'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he won last year, so he is all right. What's the relax. With that being said, game 5 was a game where I was like, come on, man. You should have closed out at home. You should have closed out at home. That's whack to me. I don't know if it was the pressure. I don't know what it was, but I mean, but then again, the refs are wilding. 5 fouls in the third quarter for Brunson. Come on. This is where people feel like sometimes the NBA is rigged. Never mind the fact that the Mavericks got the first round, they got the lottery pick. They won the lottery for Cooper Flag, dude. The same year they got rid of Luca, now they get Cooper Flag. What are we doing? That's fishy to say the least. And then you got all of these ticky tack fouls on Jalen Brunson of all people to make sure that the series gets extended one more game back at MSG. It's like, come on, come on now. So, now more than ever, people have been questioning the credibility of the league, of the NBA, and you can't blame them at times. You can't blame them. But God is good because the Warriors are out. Screw you, Draymond. Shout out to the Wolves, by the way. Shout out to Randall. Shout out to Julius Randall. I'm a firm believer that if Julius Randall was not hurt last January 2020 in the Miami Heat game, which he should have been out the game that quarter or that time frame, Tibbs. But if he didn't get hurt by Jaime Jaquez or whatever his name was, I believe, my hot take, another hot take, I believe that the Knicks would have been in the conference finals, if not the finals last summer. Because that team was clicking. The 2023-2024 season, that team was cooking. Remember that? You remember that stretch in January where they just couldn't lose a game? They just went on an ill run. Um, so yeah, I mean, I felt bad when Randall got traded and we got Cat. Like, I like Cat. Cat, when he's on, he's on. But I felt like we had lost some grit and some defense with Randall. Remember, Randall was coming to his own last season, like making the extra pass and just being more defensive minded. And he was really trusting his teammates and he was clicking with Brunson well after the first few weeks or months. So, it was sad, man. And plus, you had Devo. Devo was a legit shot maker. Plus, he can cut, get to the paint if he had to. And the chemistry was there last year. So, I was disheartened this season. Like, I was a little nervous and weary about what was to come this season. But they're here now. They're going to the conference finals. How do I feel about that? I want to say I feel everything. I feel nervous. I feel elated. I also feel like relaxed, monotone, like job's not done. But I also feel like it's nice to be a Knicks fan nowadays where you're not a quote unquote laughing stock. Because one thing I've known all my life, and especially this week, I've been reminded by the hip hop side of things. Shout out to Joey. People love to rag on New York. People don't like New York or New Yorkers. People live to see New York fail. People want to see New York fail. People will never cut New York City or New York State any slack, none whatsoever. There's just this innate tension against New York. Why? I don't know. What comes first, chicken or the egg? Is it that New Yorkers are too boastful and prideful, and wherever they go or wherever they move, they are arrogant in their ways and make their presence felt? I don't know, maybe. But at the same time, who isn't proud of their background? Who isn't proud of where they come from? Don't tell a New Orleans man about gumbo because he'll laugh you out your face and show you some real gumbo with pride. Every region has pride and a spirit that's a little arrogant, a little boastful about their land. And I feel like other cities are allowed to have that except New York. People want New Yorkers to be super docile and just quiet. Maybe New Yorkers back in the day wild out so much where that stain and that stink won't come off. Who knows? Or maybe it's always been there. People don't like city slickers. I do. The movie's great, by the way, by Billy Crystal. But in general, people don't like city slickers. The idea of a New York City type of person just moving fast. I think some of that's insecurity, but that's neither here nor there. What we are now is the fact that once again, people are hating on New York, and people are weary of New York as either a team or as a musical style of choice, which we'll get to later. But as far as the Knicks, I think we have a good shot against Indiana. They're a great team. They beat us last year. Well, us. I ain't playing. They beat the Knicks last year in 7. It's good. It's important to know that a lot of the Knicks players were injured at that time. Mitch, Randall, couldn't play that series. We had a few injuries. OG was playing hurt. It was just a bad time to be in a semi-conference finals against Indiana, and they took advantage of it. With that being said, I feel confident. I feel confident that, Knicks can win 7 games, maybe six. They're a great defensive team, though, the Pacers. And Halliburton, he can stretch, he can move, he can pass, he can do everything. So it'll be tough. It'll be tough. But I just have confidence that if there was a year for the Knicks to have a shot at getting to the finals, it has to be this year. Has to be. The stars are semi-aligned. Cavs got hurt. They're eliminated. Celtics had their own issues. They're eliminated. It's just, it's time. It's time for those people for those Knicks for the Knicks team to make a move. Make a move. Sorry, I spaced out. It's so late, but I had to do this. I had to do this. But yeah, yeah, that's my Knicks take. I feel like I feel like they have a shot. They have a shot. No, but here's the thing. Let's say they made it to the finals. Let's say by some miracle they beat Indiana. Who would you rather play? Wolves or OKC? OKC is young, which can be a good or a bad thing. Wolves have Anthony Edwards, aka Mr. Deadbeat. He's scary. Anthony Edwards is scary. So I don't know. And they got Randall, who's going to take every game as a revenge game and light up the Knicks. So I don't know. Well, shout out to Randall. What I will say is, I'm saying this. I'm saying Knicks in 7 for the Pacers series, and then once they maybe, hopefully, get to the finals, then you'll see what this team is made of, what Tibbs is made of, and you'll also see a lot of joy because they haven't been to the finals since '99 as well. But here we are. Let's not live in the future. Let's just accept the moment that Knicks won tonight. Close the series out. I think the Detroit series before kind of toughened them up a little bit. I think it's nice to see Mikel coming to his own in the playoffs, and I'm excited. But I still ain't watching off first go around. No way. One thing about me being a Knicks fan, I don't trust the Knicks to win until MSG is like close for the night. Like they turn off all the lights and they rearrange the stadium and stuff or the arena. Then I'm like, okay, I guess I did win. That's how scarred I am about this team. With that being said, I want to get into some hip hop real quick before I go. Some hip hop because the Joey Badass Ray Vaughn slash Reason situation. So last year we all know was Kendrick versus Drake. And Kendrick versus Drake took a weird coastal turn. Even though Canada is not of the US, it's still of the northeastern seaboard. So I guess stylistically sometimes there could be a connection between the Toronto and the East Coast of America. So with that being said, you know, when Drake was foolish enough, and I say foolish for real, when he was foolish enough to, you know, knock or disrespect West Coast legends, even though Pac is from New York, he kind of invited Kendrick to really uphold the flag. I'm sorry, I put my charger on. That's how we do it here. Troubleshooting at 12:30 a.m. Drake kind of invited Kendrick to really hold the battle flag of, region. And of course, Kendrick is a proud Compton man, and he used the West Coast as a battle cry. But not like us. It was smart. Tactically, it was smart to unite the coast. It was pretty smart. I loved it. I was happy for Kendrick. But herein lies a tricky thing. Remember what I said. New Yorkers aren't allowed to have fun. We're not allowed to be as boastful and prideful as other people. And Joey Badass being him, being a badass to his name, he dropped a song recently, 3, 4 months ago, called The Ruler's Back, where he quoted an old Jay-Z lyric saying, too much West Coast dick licking. He said that at 22s. And, Jay-Z said that in 96 at a time where the West was up, the West was very alive and well, and some people were either biting the West or just jockeying the West too much. So, he had the line, too much West Coast dick licking. Joey flips that in The Ruler's Back in the aftermath of Kendrick's success, the idea of GNX blowing up, that sound coming back, and people gravitating towards that. I took his line in The Ruler's Back to that. Let me find The Ruler's Back so we can get a clear idea of what I mean when I say Joey stirred the pot with this lyric. Let me see if I can share the screen, y'all. I'm gonna share screen. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. So here you go. My bad. Okay. So hopefully this audio from The Ruler's Back doesn't get um taken down. guys, YouTube, Google, whoever, I do not own the rights to the song. I do not own the rights to the song. It's Joey Badass the rules back. Sorry, I don't remember where in the song he said it. But he definitely said too much West Coast thing like it. It's not that serious. But yeah, he said the rule is back, and he was definitely being boastful and prideful about, representing New York. And I took the tone of it. The tone of it to me was he was trying to reinvigorate dudes from New York to be, prideful and not jock the West or not copy. And hip hop is based off originality, or once was. I'm sorry, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted as I'm watching the highlights on this Mets Yankees game. Um, but I'm not a hater of the rest of the Yankees. Congrats. With that being said, cats from the West Coast, of course, they didn't like that. They felt like he was being disrespectful. He was being anti-West. So many different people came out the woodwork, but mainly Ray Vaughn, a TDE artist, who just dropped his first mixtape last week or 2 weeks ago. He made a song or two. Daylight made a song or two. But then Joey, a few months early this week, kind of responded. Kind of responded. He responded in a cipher with Joey Badass, Big Sean, and Absol. YouTube, Red Bull, I don't own the copies of this. YouTube, I don't own the copy of this. But let me share it with you. Okay. So here's a freestyle. Again, YouTube, take it easy on me. I don't own this. I do not own the copyright. I don't own this. But I'm gonna play a little bit of Joey's verse. So there's a Red Bull freestyle between Big Sean, Absol, who is of course a TDE artist, a West Coast modern day respected MC, and also cool with Daylight, cool with Kendrick, of course, cool with all these TDE artists. So here we go. This is Joey's response to Daylight and Ray. Yeah, I hear this. Extra fee, extra luck. All right, let's go. Propose. I know in jail though. Recall, jigsaw. Basically, he goes on freestyle and just rips it down. Those shots at Daylight, those shots at Ray Vaughn. Ray Vaughn came back with, I'm not gonna play Ray Vaughn's record. I have no interest. I have no interest in playing Ray Vaughn's record. But yeah, I would say Ray Vaughn had I don't know where this pinging is coming from. I hear pingings everywhere. But um Ray Vaughn had a record he came out with a few days ago. It was cool. It was cool. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. I hear this pinging. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know where I hear this pinging. Do you hear that? Anyway, it's annoying the hell out of me now. But Ray Vaughn had a record called However, because Joe's called Pro Ever. And it was cool. Cool. But it sounded like a little bit like, sorry to say this, y'all. I love everybody. I love all cultures, all regions. But the sonics of it, the sonics sounded very, very West Coasty. And I shouldn't say West Coast. I shouldn't blanket statement West Coast because more like street LA modern day West Coast sound. Similar to some sounds you hear that Mustard uses, some stuff you heard from GNX, you know, but like a sloppier version, a poor man's version of it. And listen, I like any type of music, any region. I love Exhibit. I love Far Side. I love Souls of Mischief. I like Delta, the Funky Homo Sapien. I like West Coast music, but some of that stuff is not for me. And what he rapped over wise, palette wise, sonically, wasn't for me. It wasn't the bestest that I could have gotten out of him. Pause. So, he made his record, and then Joey responded with something that was very impressive. Very impressive. Joey Badass came back yesterday, or now 2 days ago, with a song called The Finals. Fire. He went in on the song called The Finals. Hopefully I can hear this. YouTube, I do not own the rights to this song. I do not own the rights to this. I hope y'all hear this. If y'all don't, I'll edit it out. Oh well. Holla. Basically, Joey went in for like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, getting that Ray Vaughn, some subtle shots at Daylight. And now apparently Reason responded today too. I didn't care for the Reason response called Dead Apple. Basically, it was just baiting East versus West stuff. He responded because Joey used his name on a pun about TDE artists getting dropped. But I figured it wasn't that serious, but reason felt otherwise. With that being said, I think what's getting lost in all this is that Joey has been about the bars, and it's been just been clean, strong penmanship, pen game, wordplay, similes, double entendres, metaphors. That's what he's been on. The reason, and more so, Rayvon has been very aggressive. And that's cool. But to me, the aggression don't last long if you don't have wit, if you're not clever, if you don't show charisma. And Joey showed a lot of charisma, especially in that Red Bull freestyle. The whole performance aspect and the way he was animated, but still smooth with it. That's what I gravitate towards too, as far as emceeing. I have to recognize, as we also recognize, where we're from matters because where we're from can also dictate what we're used to and what we like as far as performance aspect culturally. So I don't knock a West Coast person if they like the super aggressive style, like a Ray Vaughn or a Reason. But I like to have more wit and more wordplay and clever uh, lyricism attached to the MCing, especially disses records. Which, my unpopular opinion, I don't think diss records should even exist like that. I think they're really a waste of time. I think diss records can be a means to like end promo wise, but I also feel like they also can take up real estate in your catalog that's unnecessary because disc records usually have an expiration date. You know, the artists make up, they hang out, they start to hang out again, they squash it. So now those records are kind of useless. You know, Common and Ice Cube don't beef no more. So the Bitchin' You by Common, it's a great song, but it'll hit the same because there's no more tension. So, not that I advocate for tension. I think people should be working together for the sake of good music. But here we are, and I'm excited to see what Joey does next. Daylight has to probably come back and respond with something, but I'm not really the biggest Daylight fan, so I'll give him a shot, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, let's see what happens with the Knicks. Next Wednesday is game one, Indiana Pacers, home court advantage for Knicks. We'll see. We'll see. I'm excited, but I'm not that excited. Baby steps, baby steps. Like I said, if they make it to the finals, I'll be happy. With all the years of my Knicks turmoil, Langston Galloway years, the Shane Larkin years, it's just I've seen it all in the last 25 years of my life, and I'm appreciative of this era. I was happy with the Melo years, especially the 2013 Melo season, the 52 win team, second place in the Eastern Conference. But that Indiana Pacers series, took our soul. That block by Roy Hibbert really was indicative of how that era went for us. Close but not too close. So let's see what happens this time. Let's see. Again, I'm not expecting much, but I'm hoping for the best. As a Knicks fan, you learn to just take your blessings as they come. Don't ask for too much. Just have fun. I try to tell any woman out there, you want a loyal man, you want a loyal guy, a loyal man, make sure he's a Knicks fan. Because then you know for a fact he was able to endure and indulge through trauma and pain and still ride it out. You want a loyal man, ladies? Get you a Knicks fan. That's a loyal ass dude, okay? Because for me, I'll turn 40 this year. I have hella pain from the Knicks, hella. Like I'm from Cali. I have a lot of pain. I remember being 8 years old, eight going on nine, watching the Houston Rockets Knicks finals, and all of a sudden, you go now to live from LA, a high-speed car chase, and freaking OJ Simpson on the run, and they had to take that over the Rockets game. And I'm like, what the hell? Why is the guy from Naked Gun on the run? But it's a long time ago. Long time ago. Speaking of the old days, before we leave, let's give a shout out to all the Knicks players who couldn't get it, who couldn't bring it home, but are beloved and have our respect. The Ewing, the Starks, Allen Houston, Spreewell, Chris Childs, so many. Marbury, I wish we kept Zach Randolph. So many people have come to the doors, not just players, the coaches, Jeff Van Gundy. I have no sympathy for Charles Oakley or Pat Riley. I have no sympathy for Charles Oakley or Pat Riley. You made your bed, you talked your shit. Now live with it. Shoot, I got more sympathy for Porzingis and Jeremy Lin, Xavier McDaniels. Wow, so many players, there's so many players, man, who came through the Anthony Mason, rest in peace. Ace, man, it's for you, buddy. OJ, Larry Johnson, 4-point play. Always show love. I think the Knicks should go do this. Go as far as you can. just to honor the city and what it's been through in the last few years. You do that, you'll be immortal. And isn't that what it's all about? To have a legacy. For me, it's not. I ain't no player. All right. The reason why I enjoy the Knicks because I'm a proud New Yorker, and I fell in love with this team when I was young. I fell in love, and I'm not one of those bandwagoners who came late or would leave the Knicks to go elsewhere, go to the Nets, go to the Lakers, go to the Warriors. That's some HOE stuff. Where's your pride as a New Yorker? Where's your pride? How dare you? How dare you turn your back on the Knicks because you could endure suffering after suffering after suffering. So you can only be around during the good times. There wasn't a lot, but you can only be around during the good times. You only want to be around winners. We all do, but you only want to be around when the times are good. That's weak. It's the tough times that make you who you are. It's the endurance and the attrition of pain is what gives you strength. And you want to cut the, you know, cut and run. I can respect that. A lot of people right now are wearing orange and blue, are wearing Knicks colors, are repping the Knicks. They weren't here during the rough times, the Bargnani years, just the rough times, you know? You weren't here with us. You cut and ran. So why come back now? I guess that's human nature, you know? Show up when times are good, leave when times are bad. And times were bad, let me tell you. We don't have to rehash that out. It's just a little quick mini episode. Shout out to my Knicks fans. Shout out to my Mets fans. Shout out to my Giants fans, even though I stopped watching football after Kaepernick got uh ousted through collusion, which I believe was collusion. And shout out to my Rangers fans. Shout out to all my boxing fans. I'm a big boxing fan, so you know, I saw Javante Davidson is doing a rematch with Roach in August. Good, good. Run it back. Congrats to Chris Eubank for beating Conor Benn. I'm a Conor Benn fan. But yeah, that's my time. You know, I pray y'all all have a good evening. It is 12:48 a.m. on the East Coast in New York City right now. But I'm up. I'm wired. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, until next time, which probably gonna be soon. Stay up, stay late. It's the break room, a live session, and I'm out, yeah.